Therapist from Pointe, and Gus had mentioned a special person in my life, Dr. David Olds, who gave me the opportunity to explore the singing bowls and use them in my groups. He was very progressive. Actually, when he retired, I gave him a bowl that every patient that he had ever seen for the 3 years that I worked with him had handles to put their energy into it. I feel a little odd as a blonde-haired, or used to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy talking in a Buddhist temple about singing bowls that have been around with their culture for 2,500 years. The thing that I found about these with my patients is that we talk about in recovery, we have a lot of mantras. We have one day at a time, we have people, places, and things, our triggers. And we have a lot of things that look good on t-shirts, but we don't know what they really mean. And what happens with us is we look at things superficially, and I say we, and I don't know that I need to qualify this. I've been sober for 25 years, and it's, whoever out there is addicted, I'm one of you. These bowls have helped me. I didn't seek them out, they found me. I saw them on The Walking Dead. And I'm really open-minded to things. Something that I want to kind of read into this with you. I'll give you a quote so that you can kind of find out the seriousness in this, because I'm not a scientist, I'm a theorist, and there's science behind these bowls. And I'll read you a quote. It just says, see, I was back to being blonde-haired again. If we accept that sound is vibration, and we know that vibration touches every part of our physical being, and we understand that sound is heard not only through our ears, but through every cell in our bodies. One reason sound heals on a physical level is because it so deeply touches and transforms us on the emotional and spiritual planes. Sound can redress imbalances on every level of psychologic functioning and can play a positive role in the treatment of virtually any medical disorder. That's a quote from Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, Director of Medical Oncology at Cornell Cancer Prevention Center in New York. Oncologists all over the country are starting to use these for their recovery of their patients. I've used these singing bowls for patients who are on the spectrum, Asperger's. I've used them with Alzheimer's patients, believe it or not. They're interesting and powerful. And I'll just show you one example of it. I start my groups like that sometimes, and people are distracted all over the place, and I play that bowl, and they stop. I don't say anything, the bowl does. The bowl talks to people, it talks to you. My patients come to me, and they're very anxious, they're scared, they're angry, and that's pretty much all they know how to feel. They've been numbing their feelings for so many years that they couldn't identify one that they came out and it bit them, and they bite them all the time. And what they do when you recognize them is you use a drug, you numb it. You find something, even if it's not a drug, it could be a behavior, it could be overeating, it could be something that we can find to distract ourselves from that feeling and that emotion. One day at a time is what mindfulness enhances. My experience with mindfulness is being in the moment. The moment, the awareness of the moment, I have no idea how these sacred people do these things. Knowing and thinking and being in one step at a time, that's not part of our Western culture. We're supposed to be able to multitask. I don't think multitasking is what it's been sold to us for. The singing bowl causes us to focus on the moment. It brings us back from two addictive behaviors that we have that are most active in our recovery, and that is forecasting and regression. We don't live in the moment. We don't live in this place right now. We're so concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow. We try to empower ourselves with the distraction of thinking we can worry about it. My mother's theory for worry was, if I worry about it enough, it won't happen. And I said, what happens if it does? And she goes, you didn't worry about it enough. The bowls work off of theta waves and alpha waves, and that's the best science you're going to get from me. The doctor up here, when I was in the meeting with him, he started to tell me about theta waves and ohms, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. But you know what he did? He went out and he bought a bowl after we had a meeting. So I'm impressed. I just brought him into my group, and I explained to people what they're for. There's something that this bowl will do for you that you could never imagine. It creates a relationship with you. The first time I went into the store to find out about bowls, I asked the lady, how do you play it? Well, it's like everything else in life. It doesn't come with instructions. My firstborn is over here. My secondborn is over there. My daughter didn't come out after the placenta with instructions. So my son, when he came out, I figured I must have missed something, so I turned him upside down and looked at the bottom of his feet. Maybe it was written there. People think these bowls, they have to come up, they have to find an answer. How does this work? We don't like to discover things for ourselves. We don't have patience. This kind of sounds like a Beavis and Butthead thing. My patients don't have patience. But in the process of doing this, and I pass them around, I learn things. This bowl teaches me things. Any patient that I have ever had, and I'm not saying every patient in the universe, but the ones that I've had that have restless leg, when I hand them the bowl, they don't have to make the bowl sing. They just have to make the wand go around the bowl, and the distraction is enough to bring them into the moment, and the leg will stop vibrating. I think that's pretty phenomenal. And so I've had patients where I pass the bowls around the room, and they go, it's not working, and their legs stop. I can't make it sing. Some people look at it, they stare at it, and then they pass it. I've had lots of engineers study it but never play it. I think they're afraid of feelings. What do you think? So I'll give you a little bit of an example as to how it works, and then I'll kind of tell you a little bit more of what's going on. I can work with brass. The bowl has two voices. It has a male voice, that's the one you're hearing right now, and then all the women get to stand up and shout because the female voice is going to be much louder. So in the process of doing this, we have two voices. We have sound, we have vibration. The vibration piece that you heard about from the doctor from Cornell was basically talking about feeling sound. Sound in your flesh, sound through your bones. You don't have to be able to hear to absorb the energy and the healing of the bowl. Something it's funny, I don't tell them at first, but I found out as I passed the bowl, it reveals a character flaw or a character strength of the person who's playing the bowl. Some people will try to play it, they get really anxious with it, and they get frustrated. They pass it. I couldn't make it sing. And then I get other people who just hold the bowl forever, and they make it sing, and they're happy, and they won't pass it at all. And then I have other people who know so much about the bowl, the first time they use it, they made it sing, they follow the bowl around the room, and they teach other people how to play. So you get to see things about other people, and the bowl reveals that. In my addiction, I was afraid of relationships. I was afraid of men. I was a man. My whole life was about competing with other men. I call it peeing on trees. I learned in my therapy and my recovery that I could be friends with men. This bowl has taught me how to create a relationship. People are impatient with how it sings. They can't make it work. The first time you meet someone, you aren't friends with them. You have to be patient. I have all my patients ask on a constant basis, where do I find sober friends? They think that the people that they've met in recovery for 14 days are their friends. I said, that's just another example of how sick you are. Those people are your fellow travelers and your acquaintances, but they're not your friends. Friends are people who stand by you, walk into the fire with you, hold your hand, and in spite of all the bad, negative things you've done in your life, still choose to love you. People that have known you for 14 days will shrink back and fall away. So It's nice to think about it, but it's also a trigger. So building a relationship with a bowl takes patience. I've had this bowl for 5 years, and it still teaches me something new every day. It taught me about the restless leg. It taught me about the revelation of people's character, strengths, and virtues. It's taught me about the relationships. And it's also given me a great enhancement for meditation. I've cheated, I've looked on the internet, and I've done studies, and I've seen all kinds of things. I am not an expert, but I'll tell you what it does for my patients. It brings them peace when they have trust in it. I've had a lady come to my office having a panic attack. Sat down, she goes, "I'll try your darn bowl." So I sat there with her, and she played it, and I played mine, and in about 10 minutes, she was okay. She said, "Wow, that worked." I said, "Well, Visceral works, Xanax works, but it's instantaneous gratification. It's the same thing you've been doing all along that brought you here. Have some confidence. Try this. Meditation gets better the more you do it, the more you have confidence in it, the more you're comfortable with it, the less you fight it and you let go, it happens. The same thing with the bowl. Patience. Mindfulness is, as I use it, and as we use it at Centerpoint, is about focusing on that moment. I go back to things all the time that happened to me that I know, in talking about the moment, I read a book, it's called Letters to My Son by a gentleman by the name of Kent Dearborn. And he has a chapter in it, it's called Blue Moments. And having the bowls and studying the bowls and looking online and watching YouTube and talking to other people about it and seeing the results from it, the moment, a blue moment, is something, it could be bad, it could be positive, it could be negative, but you'll remember it forever. And it locks in your mind and it's sacred to you. And he says, cherish the blue moments. Well, my blue moment that came to fruition with me, my mother was in the kitchen getting some pretzels, and I was in the living room. She walked in, sat in the chair, and she had a stroke. She died about 3 or 4 months later. She would never be like she was before that moment. And she will never be the way she was before after that moment. But in that moment, and you all have experienced those, you've lost people that are important to you, or you've had something where you've gained something that you didn't have before. And it happened in a moment. So be aware of the moment and let the bowl show you what that moment looks like. And it'll take one day at a time, and it'll enhance it for you so that you can focus on yourself and you can heal, and it slows life down. We're driving 90 miles an hour through a school zone, and we didn't get caught yet. We need to slow down, take our foot off the throttle, and the bowl will do that. But you have to pick it up, you have to try it, and you have to let it do its job and create that relationship with you. I tried to play 10 bowls the first night I met them. I played one. Well, I actually played 2. I wasn't buying the $300 one. So I got a $40 bowl. That's the one Dr. Holmes got. He wasn't getting a $300 one either. And so the way it goes is I've bought more bowls, and I've got some here, and I'll put them on the table if you like. After this is over, feel free to come up and see if you can find a friend. It's just how it is. It's just a bowl. But man, it's got a lot of peace in it. So if you trust in it, I think it can help you. But you can help yourself by creating a relationship with it. So we got 2 dynamics. We got patience and acceptance. And those are the 2 things that we need the most in this recovery. Recovery is not about time. Moments, not time. 30-day coins, 1-year key rings. That's about time. Recovery is about acquisition of skills and movement. My mom taught me a lot of stuff, but I was with her one time. She was talking about a shoulder replacement surgery. She was 84 years old. And the doctor looked at her and said, "Yeah, you're good to go." Well, she had more titanium in her, I think, than the space shuttle. And I told her, I said, "Go ahead and get that, because when you pass, we'll recycle you." I lived with her, so we had an odd relationship. But the doctor said, she said, "Am I too old to do this?" And he said, "Well, you don't have an expiration date on your birth certificate. So why would you be too old?" So recovery, none of us know how long we're going to be in this. But we can't focus on being sober 2 weeks from now, today. And we can't promise sobriety to anyone other than this moment and today. I wake up sober, I go to bed sober. That bowl enhances that for me, and it enhances it for a lot of patients. When you struggle and you have emotions about what you can or you can't do that, this thing will bring you home. I live with one next to my bed. I wake up scattered with thought, forecasting what I'm going to do, what's traffic going to be like, what's my group going to be like, am I going to have some more crazy people today, you know? And I say that lovingly because I'm one of them. And in the process of all this, I pick up that bowl and I play it, and it erases that. It brings me home. It brings me back to the moment. And I get up and I'm not scattered, and I have some peace, and I have a little bit more energy. And I feel good about myself. So, buy a bowl. The doctor did. If the doctor's going to buy a bowl after he listens to my mundane spiel, you may as well buy one too and see how it works for you. But the sacredness of this bowl goes way beyond anything I can tell you about it. And the history, and I have no idea what you all know about the bowl, and I'm hoping you're not keeping secrets from this. But in the process of this whole thing, I need to remind everybody that is an addict one more thing. And I get caught up in this all the time, and we all do. We label ourselves, I'm an addict, I'm a junkie, I'm a drunk, I'm all these things. Well, first and foremost, you're people. We have a disease. In the process of having this disease, there's some accountability that goes with it, because the people who love us expect us to administer to us. I have lots of patients who come in, they'll be in tears and say, my mother won't go to chemotherapy, she has cancer, she's just been diagnosed. Why won't she take care of herself? And the heartless me says, now you know how that feels. So remember, there's people who suffer on the other side of this disease that are a part of us, and we've given that to them. And in the codependency in our relationship with this, we're all in this together. And I want to honor an old friend. He's a community leader for the Lakota in Pipestone, Minnesota, in the past. But he would hold up a willow, and he would shake it. He'd say, that's you in recovery. And he could take it and he could bend it, and he could snap it in half. And he said, that's you all alone doing this, thinking you got it. And he would reach into his backpack and take out a bundle of those same willows, and they'd be wrapped with twine. He said, this little red dot in the center on the bottom of this willow is you in recovery. You in community. It's never going to become a log, but you're strengthened by it. I can't let the wind doesn't blow it, doesn't affect it, doesn't whip. I can't bend it in half. I can't break it over my knee. And in community, we're stronger. And in recovery, we have to rely on those around us for the support that we need. And we're never going to be strong enough to do this alone. So, you can take a bowl with you, but you always need somebody to play with. That's pretty much all I have. So, thank you very much for inviting me.